In a galaxy far beyond the reach of human imagination, where worlds were bound by the threads of ancient laws and cosmic hierarchy, there existed a small, unassuming planet known as Encoria. Encoria was home to a species of beings unlike any other, with their towering forms and complex intellects. However, one small alien princess, Elara, stood out like a tiny star in a vast constellation. Elara, despite her royal lineage, was different. Unlike the tall, muscular, and imposing figures of her species, she was barely over 3 feet tall. Her small size made her an outcast among her peers. On Encoria, status and strength were everything, and Elara was neither strong nor imposing. Her heart, however, was filled with dreams of a future beyond the oppressive expectations of her royal family. Elara's parents had long hoped for her to marry a prince from another powerful alien race, thus forging alliances that would increase Encoria's influence. But every matchmaker sent to find her a suitor returned with disappointing news. Alien males, from the towering giants of the Xandrian race to the elegant, shape-shifting Kylorans, rejected her without a second thought. She was too small, too fragile, too human. The rejection, though painful, was not the worst of it. The worst part was the constant reminder from her royal advisors that she was not good enough to continue the lineage. It was her imperfection that had caused the strain in her family's reputation. Elara knew, deep in her heart, that she was destined for more. She just needed to find someone who could see past her size and her alien limitations. One day, during a diplomatic event between the Encorian royals and a human delegation from Earth, Elara overheard something that would change her life forever. As the event buzzed with quiet chatter and the exchange of glances, a human named James Walker, an unassuming engineer and diplomat, was present to observe and gather data for his work. James was intrigued by Elara. He noticed her small frame and the sadness in her deep blue eyes, which seemed far older than her tender years. Unlike the other alien males, who openly sneered at her diminutive form, James saw in Elara something rare, an intelligence and vulnerability that spoke to his own experiences as an outsider. Elara had always felt like she was from another world, but now she met someone who actually was from another world. When their eyes met across the room, Elara's heart skipped a beat, and for the first time in years, she felt a flicker of hope. But she also hesitated. She had seen enough human men turn away from her kind, finding their differences too great to bridge. Would this one be different? James, on the other hand, was not like the others. He was different in ways she could never have imagined. He had not grown up in the traditions of alien royalty or power struggles. His understanding of other beings was rooted in his time working with intergalactic technologies and communicating with alien species in a way that focused on their shared common ground rather than superficial differences. "Princess Elara," James said, approaching her with a calm and respectful demeanor. "James Walker," she replied, her voice soft but filled with curiosity. Their conversation started awkwardly, as most conversations do when cultures collide, but it quickly became clear to both that they had much in common. Both of them were isolated, both of them felt misunderstood. Over the next few weeks, James and Elara found themselves meeting in secret, discussing topics ranging from intergalactic politics to personal dreams. Elara learned that James had never viewed her as small or fragile. To him, she was simply a fascinating individual, someone who had a resilience and wisdom that made her more intriguing than anyone he had met. He often marveled at her perceptiveness, noting how her mind seemed to work in ways that defied the expectations of her people. To James, Elara's spirit was the true measure of her worth, not the stature of her body. One evening, as they sat under the twin moons of Encoria, James took a deep breath and spoke what had been on his mind for some time. I think you deserve more than what you've been given, Alara. The world doesn't know you yet, but I see you. Not just the princess, but the person you are." Alara looked up at him, surprised by the depth of his words. It was the first time anyone had looked beyond her title or appearance and truly seen her. "I don't think I fit in anywhere," she admitted, her voice trembling. "Not among my own people, not among the others. I feel lost." James reached out and gently touched her hand, offering a warmth she had long since given up hoping for. "Then maybe it's time you found your own place in the galaxy. Maybe that place doesn't have to be here, or with anyone else's expectations." The idea of leaving her home planet seemed impossible, yet at the same time, it was the most liberating thing she had ever heard. She had always followed the rules, obeyed her parents, and had been trapped by the boundaries of her position. Perhaps, for the first time, she could break free. But even as Alara and James grew closer, the politics of the galaxy were not as forgiving. News of their relationship spread like wildfire. The Encorian royal court reacted swiftly, deeming it a scandalous affair. The ruling council demanded that Alara end her bond with James, threatening her with exile if she did not comply. She was a princess, and her duty was to her people, they said. James, a human, was beneath her, a mere tool for diplomatic convenience. But Alara had made her decision. She would not return to a life of loneliness and repression, bound by her people's expectations. She would leave with James, seeking a new path, a new future. Her parents tried to stop her, but the bond between Alara and James had grown too strong to break. On the eve of her departure, as Alara prepared to board the vessel that would take her away from Encoria, she stood at the edge of the palace grounds, gazing out at the stars. For the first time, she felt free. James approached, his step slow but sure. He smiled at her, offering his hand. "Are you ready?" he asked. Alara looked up at him, her eyes filled with both fear and excitement. She nodded, a smile slowly spreading across her face. "Ready," she whispered, "for whatever comes next." Together, they boarded the ship, leaving behind a galaxy of expectations, prejudice, and politics. As the vessel soared into the unknown, Alara finally felt at peace. The galaxy, once so vast and indifferent, now felt like a place of endless possibility. In the end, it wasn't about the size of her body or the power of her title. It was about the strength of her heart and the courage to follow her own path. And with James by her side, Alara knew that the galaxy was hers to explore.